First of all, I want to say thank you to Jordan for making this entire event possible and the amazing community that he's been building with the San Francisco game development. I've been to a lot of the events here. I met a lot of amazing people, a lot of really passionate people, something that really makes me excited for the future of game development in general. And also thank you all for coming out, and for our wonderful speakers, Jonathan and Colin, who you really want to hear. So I'll kind of go through what we've been building with Granola GG and tell you all about how we see the future of how games, we hope, can be made and bring people together. First, a little bit about me. So I've been an entrepreneur most of my career. Most of that time has been in game and game approximate simulation, graphics, kind of industries. I mean, like recently I was at Unity doing machine learning for graphics and computer vision. And before that, I was CTO of a company called Sandbox VR, which maybe you've been to. We have a couple of locations here in the Bay Area. And before that, I was doing a bunch of different startups. Actually, I was really excited to see Jason, who worked with me on Dream, which I have a nice little screenshot of here. And the reason that I always get really excited about these kinds of technologies, about simulation, about interactive technologies, is because interactive experiences, and this is how I fundamentally feel, they really inspire, and they really, obviously they entertain. We love playing games. But most importantly, and I think more relevant today than ever before, is these are the things that are really bringing people together, right? I have my feelings about Roblox, and I'm sure you all do too, but thank God that it existed during the pandemic and gave children a place to be together. Maybe that's not the case today, but something that really means a lot to me is to bring people together and give them sort of maybe a social or community that they can't find down the street. So yeah, really excited to kind of talk a little bit about what we're trying to do with Granola and essentially the village that we're trying to build here. Right? Making a game takes a village. If anybody who's made a game, you're already standing on the shoulders of giants just by using a computer, just by maybe you're building your own engine, maybe you're using something like Unity or Unreal or something that's out there in the ether. You can't do it all yourself, right? And really great games require a lot of talented people coming together, sometimes over years of time, working on things that they put their all into. And we think that that deserves its own kind of place. Unfortunately, and this is based on my experience and I think a lot of yours, our village is kind of fragmented lately, right? Anybody who's making a game is probably using any number of tools from this little thing, and honestly, this is just a nice little thing I made because the real map is like thousands of different options that you're presented with. Nothing's compatible, nothing works the way you want it to, and often, because we're game developers, we're left with using Jira and Atlassian for things that are not designed for us. And I use Jira specifically because nobody I've ever worked with likes Jira, especially in the game industry. But we use it because that's what you got to do, right? I was actually at Sandbox as CTO, I was forced to choose between Jira and Linear, and I did the unthinkable. So before I go through how we're solving some of these problems, I want to go through kind of a simplified indie journey. We actually have a real indie developer talking later that will talk to you about how this actually works. So this is my kind of like cartoon version of it. But let's go through kind of what that feels like when you're making a game and kind of getting going. The first part is obviously kind of the fun part we all like to talk about and dream about, right? Coming up with a concept. This often is the stage that maybe people jump into too quickly and get through too quickly, or maybe they overthink, right? You come up with an idea, you've always wanted to do it, or maybe you overthink like, okay, what's missing in the market? But this is the part where everybody starts. Here's the game we're going to make. It's going to be on this platform. It's going to look like this, going to have these characters, and so on and so forth. The next part is the infamous vertical slice. I know some folks here are not from the gaming industry, so a vertical slice is essentially your minimal viable product. This is effectively a demo. Maybe it's one level of your game. It's something that you can give to somebody and that they can play, and then they can tell you what they think. This is where things start to get really hard because you actually have to make a game. You have to bring art assets together. Maybe you don't know how to do art. Maybe you're a really great coder. Maybe you're a really great artist, but you don't know how to do the code. I was actually an adjunct professor for RIT's IGM department, which I'll talk to a little bit in a bit. And I remember having many students that wanted to quit the game development program because it required too much development. And I'm like, it's in the name of the degree. It's game development. And I had to talk them off that cliff and convince them that, yeah, it's really hard to learn how to code. I get it. But that's part of the, process here. Cool. So we made a vertical slice. We made a game. What do? This is one of the many paths that's in front of you. A lot of people that we work with, a lot of the studios and developers, they have full-time jobs. They can't just work on something all day long. Making games takes a long period of time. You have to pay for that. So a lot of people opt to go the crowdfunding route. I choose this specifically because I think this is one of the better approaches to getting funding, but people go to Patreon. Sometimes they'll just sort of, do it in the wee hours of the night for many, many years. But what always frustrated me about Kickstarter, and I should say I ran a very successful Kickstarter campaign 12 years ago, one of the first ones that we hit like 100K in 11 hours. You can look it up. It's called the GTAR. It's TechCrunch Disrupt. It's like the second season of Silicon Valley. We went through that whole thing. And what always frustrated me about Kickstarter is that it takes 30% of your money and does not deliver 30% of the value. In fact, with games, it's particularly painful because they take 30%, but you can't download the game. Then you have to go to something like Steam, and they also take 30%, right? And Steam is very much a pay-to-play kind of platform, right? It's really hard because meanwhile, you're also fighting social media, you're also managing your team, you're also capturing feedback from your developers and from your players and from your mom who's played your game like 20 times and just is sick of it. And also you're fostering a growing community of people that will ultimately become the core players of your ecosystem, right? Sounds easy. This is the kind of reality, and now we've seen this, I think, many, many times over with a lot of the developers that we've tried to help with the platform that we're building over the last few years. So we believe that making games should really bring people together, right? The experience that I was kind of talking about before, there's a lot of friction. There's a lot of, forces pulling people apart. There's a lot of fighting that kind of ultimately, and it's amazing that games come out at all, in my opinion, especially after being involved in many, concepts that get, killed halfway through, or like, for example, the infamous case recently of Concord. Very amazing, talented group of people. It's very unfortunate to see those many years of work just go to the ether, right? So this is how we kind of believe that things should be all in one place. And this is kind of our approach to it. What we're doing is we're bringing all of the files, all of your assets into one place. We're putting it in the same place as your community and the feedback that you're collecting from your developers and the insights that they're giving you. And hopefully you're kind of trying to make sense of. We also help you with managing your team and making sure that you're bringing in the folks that you want to be a part of your project. And then at the last bit, we also provide you with a way to get those games out and published and into the world. And I threw in Dashcam because it's a really cool feature I'll talk about. So let's go through our journey and hopefully kind of a simpler process. Well, you start off, you create a project. You can start with a template, you can start from nothing, and you just invite your team. It's that simple. Then you basically build your game. We let you use our own hosting system, which is kind of like a mini Dropbox meets GitHub Lite. We simplify a lot of the things. In fact, we found out recently through some industry research, 80% of studios, big and small, are still using Dropbox. They don't use GitHub because of the friction that it introduces into the development process. So we're actually providing a lightweight version of what people need in this process, but you don't have to use that. You can also just upload builds directly into our system, which then distribute it to your developers, to your testers. And when they run the game through our system, we capture the screen, we capture their webcam. We have some tooling that transcribes everything they say and makes sense of, is it good, is it bad? And that all bubbles up into one unified dashboard that shows everybody what's going on in the project at all times across the entire group of people, across builds, and through the entire development process. And this is actually one of the biggest things we're launching today, which is the Town Square, which is a place for you to publish your game, where then you can, put it out for looking for play testers or even finding folks to join your team as developers or artists if you're looking for that. And we don't believe that you're going to use us for everything, right? If you made a game and you want to sell it on Steam, you should be able to do that. And so we're obviously just trying to make this a place where we can foster the development and really encourage really great games being made by disparate groups of people. So yeah, that's kind of the big thing that we're launching today, is this whole end-to-end platform. One thing I really wanted to talk about is a really fun feature we call Dashcam, which I just have to mention, which is a plugin that we've developed as well that takes everything that we built in our system and puts it into your game. Because have you ever gotten a feedback from somebody who's like, hey, it didn't work, it broke, it's like, wouldn't you just want to see what they did, what happened, what was the problem? And so with a simple button in your system, your players can now basically upload directly the last 5-6 minutes of footage, which is essentially like a dash cam. Like, you don't want to crash the car, but if you do, you kind of want to have that footage, right? So thanks to Jordan for forcing me to make this slide, because this is kind of a list of all the different things that we put into one place. Because I've been talking to many of you before giving this talk right now, the hardest part about building a platform like this in a kind of village for game development is literally like you have to kind of boil the ocean a little bit. To get to a place where something is actually useful, we have to kind of give like 5% of all these different things, so that that's why this industry is so fragmented. I wanted to talk a little bit about AI. So already we built some really great AI tooling, especially in the capturing context from the games that people are playing. It's actually interesting. People are all about talking about how AI is going to change the game world. But today, people are using AI every single day in the form of DLSS. So if you have a GPU with a RTX 20 and above, you're actually using machine learning all the time. The way that people are thinking about AI in the game industry is all about how it's going to replace jobs, and it's how it's going to replace artists and all these things. That's not what it should be used for. What it should be used for is to remove the tedium from the day-to-day workflows that are slowing us from being able to create new ideas and new concepts and new things, right? So, this is what we're actually going to be launching in the beginning of next year. We're calling it Zerg. It builds on the entire platform that we've built already, and will let you go from essentially an idea to a game project, like a concept, but you can start building from. So you can come up with a bunch of different ideas and then take that and invest in the ones that you think are worthwhile, and then take that and then actually go all the way. So we can really help with that first and second stage of getting you to a vertical slice faster. So we see this as a hybrid AI human approach, where we can remove tedium from workflows without having to remove the artistic and the creative aspects of making games. So really excited about that. So if you check out our cool QR code and join our Discord, or just literally log in at GranolaGG and sign up, you'll be the first to know about new features. And today you can create projects, join projects, play games. In fact, we have Jeremy Kotz over there, who's the winner of a recent game jam we did with RIT IGM, demoing his game Catch a Sketch, which is super, super cool. One of the games you can check out. We did a game jam with them, and just in 48 hours, 120 students built 31 games on our platform, and it was really kind of blew us away how amazing, first of all, the games were, but also how we managed in 2 or 3 hours to play them all and to give them feedback and to find a winner. So yeah, that's kind of it. Thank you all for coming. This is an amazing turnout. We're gonna have some really amazing talks from Jonathan Miranda and Colin, and we're going to learn more about the current state of the industry, as well as what it takes to get a game out into market.